All right, welcome to the Remarketing Podcast. My name is Jerome Lewis. I'm your host for today. The Remarketing Podcast is a podcast where we talk marketing, tech, business, and leadership. We talk these things for real estate agents, real estate investors, and real estate entrepreneurs. The Remarketing Podcast has two purposes. Purpose number one, Brandon, to spotlight you, your business, your service, or your product in a way that provides value to you, including market exposure and content creation. Purpose number two is to educate and inform our audience and our listeners. With that, we have a special guest, Brandon Neely, right, who I met through networking at a real estate entrepreneurial event, right? He is an entrepreneur, profit first banking. Brandon Neely is an entrepreneur, profit first and bank on yourself professional, and the co-host of Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast with his wife Amanda Neely. They founded and managed Overflow Coffee Bar L3C from 2008 through 2018. Now they share experiential knowledge through podcasting and through developing personalized financial strategies for individuals and couples and profitability strategies for business. Brandon, welcome to the show. I'm excited that you're here.
Hey, thanks for having me. And I think we're live on my channels, on our YouTube channel, and our everywhere.
We're live everywhere.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we can knock out like two things at once. And all right, so you're going to tell us a little bit about infinite banking, and this is going to be interesting because I've heard about the concept before, but I never dove into it, and I don't fully understand it. So that's going to be our subject. I'm going to ask you some questions around that and around entrepreneurship in general. I have a list of questions, and I would like to start off with first. I want you to do a small intro, small bio. Tell us about yourself in your own words.
Yeah, I am a business owner. An entrepreneur, and I think there's a difference between the entrepreneur and entrepreneur. There's a lot of people who want to be entrepreneurs, but an entrepreneur is somebody who has the war wounds, like the all kinds of stuff that happens because of starting their own business, right? My wife and I have started Overflow and sold that business, which is just super amazing to do that, and we are also parents of a 4-year-old, and I'm a caretaker of my mother-in-law. So that's a little bit about me, but I focus mainly on profit first, building profitable businesses to profit first, and infinite banking, thinking about cash flow and all those kind of things.
Awesome. Thank you. And when you say profit first, I've heard that concept and I've heard that term before. Could you expound upon that a little bit, please?
Yeah, so profit first, and this is the challenge in our business world, is we'll invest in, let's say, the market and expect returns, right? We want returns for it, we want all of that. But yet, when it comes to our own businesses, we don't take the profit, right? That was me in my old business with the coffee shop. I was not taking care or paying myself as much and giving myself profit distributions. But profit first is a cash flow management system that you build to make sure that you're running a profitable business, right? Meaning you're not just creating a expensive hobby, or like Mike Michalowicz from who wrote Profit First. He says, building a cash-eating monster. A lot of people make 6, 7, 8, 9-figure businesses, but they're not profitable. So how do we build a profit first business, profitable, that loves you and loves you, that you love and that loves you back?
Okay. And so speaking of profit first, I want to get to the infinite banking, but is there any one specific thing that people should do in order to prioritize profit in their business?
Yeah, the way I think about it, and this is in real estate deals. So there's a great book, Profit First, for real estate investors, that a friend of mine wrote, David Richter. And really, it's kind of this idea, when we have a lot of money coming through our hands, we think it's all there, right? And it's all ours and all this. But the profit first system is making smaller plates, right? So first thing you want to do is have different accounts to be able to make sure you're not spending other people's money, right? Or you forgot, and especially in real estate, you made a deal and you forgot most of that money isn't yours; it's the IRS's. And how to make sure you have the tax bucket to be able to use and make sure, and the operation bucket, and use that OPEX efficiently, not just running a business that is like bloated, right?
Okay. And so I think that we can tie that into the infinite banking, right? So you mentioned the IRS, and one of the things about infinite banking, from my understanding, is that you can, I guess, uh, avoid, or is it's avoid taxes, right? You don't have to pay as much taxes if you like properly structure some of that. Is that correct?
So the way I think about it is a lot of people are, and I'll ask you this question.
Mhm.
This is what I ask of a lot of clients and individuals. So, would you ever get into business with somebody where they make the terms of service in the future?
No,
Do you think taxes are going to go up or down in the future?
I'm pretty positive they will go up.
So, is it better to pay your taxes now or pay your taxes later?
Now,
So, in my thinking is, how can I pay my taxes now? That's the
okay,
Roth. That's what people love, Roths, but also have access to the capital on my terms, right? And
okay,
so that's one thing I think about, paying my taxes now. I want to pay Uncle Sam, but I want to pay him that and not a penny more, right? Help make sure that the government's running, or we have our roads, but I don't want to like overpay, right? But the
okay,
government and the IRS, it's there. They say theirs. They created the system, right? So they want us to go the other way because they'll make more money, right? Theoretically, depending on what happens, and most of it. This is the other thing. Everything will change next year when we have new people in office, and it'll change again. I like control. So how do I build a system where I can pay my taxes now and still have access to capital, right? That I can use for real estate, for my business, for whatever purposes, marketing efforts. I don't know, whatever it is.
okay. So could you, infinite banking? Let's clarify that subject, that topic. What does it mean? Can you like break down? So we got the infinite. It's kind of obvious, but I still want to hear you say what infinite is, and then the banking, like, and
Yeah.
combine the two terms.
Yeah. So it might not be obvious, and some people think they know what it is,
Okay.
and not. And Dave Ramsey will say, "What I'm doing is crazy," or
Okay.
whatever. There's all kinds of things out there. And what it is designing a properly designed whole life insurance policy. Whole life people will already turn it off and say, "No, you can't do that." But I'm building this as my safety and my access to capital, right? So I know as a business owner, my biggest risk is me and my biggest asset is me. We will protect our biggest risk and asset if it's a house or other things, but we don't do that on us when we say, well, I'll buy term insurance and I'll invest otherwise. Well, my biggest investment is me and my business. So building that stability is really important. So that's why I put in that stability piece. And I used my policy when I had a flood in the business. Literally, the roof was off, and I needed cash to get through it for a little while till the other insurance kicked in. But I used it for an emergency. I used it as a down payment on my house, and I'm using it right now to buy a property. So I have this properly designed whole life that is my liquidity that I can access now, and I don't have to wait till I'm 59 and a half, and I can use that at a low cost amount. So I think about this. Um, don't do what the banks tell you to do what the banks do, right?
Okay.
Learn the banking system because we're all in it. How can I control as much so I can make more money?
Okay. what where would you say is a good place to start to learn to do what the banks do?
Yeah, the main thing is to realize how much we are being marketed to
Okay.
in general. You do marketing right, um, where we're being marketed to, where even the banks are saying, you deserve this car, you deserve this. Just use this card, and that's okay. And we don't realize that it's 25% interest on the card, and we're working for a bank for 25% of the time, right? And then we're like, how come I can't get ahead? And I see this whole system play out all the time. So it's like that fractional reserve banking. You take a savings account, you put money into that bank, and then what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and give it to somebody else at a high interest, right? So how can I control that? And I can't get away completely from that, but how can I have more in that and build a bigger foundation where I can even take bigger risks, right?
Okay. Uh, I'm going to refer to the questions. Could you tell us a common myth about infinite banking?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them. Like some people are like, yeah, but you're taking from your own money, right? And I think about it like the HELOC strategy. Have you ever heard of the HELOC
Yes.
strategy? Like
Yes.
you're accessing money. The bank will charge you to access your money. You paid that, right? You paid that off, so you should be able to access that easy, right, without interest. But there's a HELOC. There's still somebody's giving you that. Um, they use it for an asset. So so the only difference, really, in my eyes, is the HELOC strategy is the asset is the house.
Okay.
The infinite banking strategy, the asset is you, right? And so what you're doing is you're taking an advance, the cash value, and you're taking that advance to do things. And the insurance company will charge interest rates, 5% simple interest for the companies I work with. And they will, and people will say, oh, but you're being charged for your own money. Well, technically, it's not your money because they took it from the general fund of that company, and they want to make money. We want them to be profitable, right? So there's a cost for money, but I have dividends that are growing into the policy uh, as it's growing. So it could be a net zero arbitrage, right? But I'm thinking holistically. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but you're cheating or this or that. I'm like, no, I'm just doing what the banks do. So a lot of times people think, oh, it costs too much, or that this is another one. Whole life insurance costs too much. Term insurance is the way to go. Well, term insurance actually costs you more because it's kind of like being a renter versus owning a house, right? You they don't want to pay you, and you don't want to die, right? Most term insurance don't pay out, so that's another myth. And I'm not saying it's not investing. You just build some stability.
Okay. Thank you.
That's one thing. There's a lot of myths out there for sure.
Okay, maybe we need like a checklist from you or something like that. You ever consider like do you have like a course or a book or anything like that where you like list out some of these things?
Yeah, of course. That's why we have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Wealth Wisdom, Financial Podcast, and YouTube, because we have a whole playlist of what are those myths and how do you use it. Because again, here's the thing: I don't care what tool it is. How do you use the tool to build what you want, right? In marketing and in real estate and any of those areas. And oftentimes we're building things in silos. And what I want to do is think, how can I use this to create leverage to do more, to build wealth? Again, I think, um, don't do what the rich people tell you to do what the rich people do. Why did they do this? Another myth is that, oh, it's only for the rich. Well, I wasn't rich when I started. I started at a small policy. I saved like $400 a month into that, and I was able to grow. And now I have bigger policies. But I didn't start there. I started with what I could do, and I built that in.
Okay. So here's a scenario, right? As an example, I'm a new person and I like discovered this infinite banking. I heard you talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get involved. Like, what's one piece of advice you would give me to get started or start out down the right path?
Yeah, I think what I do is I talk to people a lot on this, and I think about I have an acronym that we use called chaos. That's one
Okay.
acronym, and it's confusing, haphazard, anxious, overwhelming, and stressful. Tell me that's not our world right now,
Yes.
or marketing, right? Taxes, right? And we have to go from the chaos to what we call the still method, right? First thing you have to do in the still method, and if you want to, we have a playbook. We're going to write a book about it at some point here in the future. But it is set your sights, right? You need to have goals. Most people, I tell you, they even get into real estate and they're like, I want to do this, this, and this, and they don't know where they want to go. So you have to set your sights. What do you want it to look like? How do you want your business to run? All that stuff. Track your in and out. What's going in? That's budgeting. At least, maybe some people they need budgeting, and some people it's like just tracking, making sure things are okay. Inspect your progress. That you got to track, and then you got to inspect it. Look for 1% adjustments. It's the 1% adjustments that get you where you want to go, and live deliberately. The policy, what I do, when I do these kind of systems, when I do a full financial analysis with people, they're like, yeah, well, just set me up with a policy. I'm like, no, I want to ask, what are your dreams and goals? What's your cash flow situation like? How does this play into it? And you'd be surprised how many people don't know those answers for themselves, right? And what we want to do is reverse engineer, use the tool so we can do the things outside of your policy or whatever, your cash flow system, to grow your wealth, right? Wealth is also not just money, it is freedom, time freedom, or other things.
Yeah, and you mentioned so I really like that acronym, and I'm going to borrow it. Of course, I'm going to credit you, but I'm going to borrow that acronym. I run a marketing agency, so I always get I have those conversations too. People come in, how can I run ads or how can I get leads? And it's like, well, we gotta calm down first, right? We gotta chill out. We need goals. That's the
Yep.
first thing that we need. And like, it was so dangerous that I ended up creating like a whole goal planner because people don't know where they're going. Like, everybody doesn't want to conquer the world. Some people want one or two deals here and there, and people are coming in like with all scattered. And it's like, all right, let's calm down. Let's write down the goals and figure out what your situation is. Some people have children, some people don't. People are different markets. So I really like that acronym. Like, you go from chaos to being still. Like, let's stop.
Yep.
Everybody's going to have a different situation, and we have to figure that out. So I really appreciate that, and I'm going to have a conversation with you. I would love to use that acronym, chaos and still. It's very, very relevant.
Oh, there will be a book coming out on it. So we're definitely like figuring it out, and we're like, man, this is exactly. And I'm a person of faith, right? So my business name, the coffee shop name, was Overflow. And if I look from a faith perspective, in the Bible, there's a lot of still, right? And you think that in the Bible, like, there's not a lot of, he's not moving, right? But yet he's stopping, and there's some quiet to figure it out or think, right? And there's another guy that says thinking time. What's his name? The Road Less Stupid is the book, but building some thinking time in there, and that's super powerful. Where that still method, that the hard part is we want fast results. It's a world of Instagram where we just want it all over, right? But doing the still method is going to help you figure it out. And here's the funny thing. When I work with people all the time, the questions may be the same, but the answers may change, right? Depending on where you're at in life, and so doing the still method regularly is important.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Next question. What's one lesson that being on this career path has taught you that everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Oh, that's a big question. Um, the thing is, I went from coffee to finance, and I did not know anything about this. All I knew is this changed my life, right? It made a huge difference. Had I known that, there would be so many opinions and Reddits and all kinds of things about this and that, I'm like, man, I might have chosen a different path. I'd rather, you know, um, go invest in Bitcoin or something. I don't know. But this revolutionized my life, and it really helped me to think through it. And what I tell people is, don't just like listen to a TikTok video or anything like that. Like, understand you and ask those deeper questions, and don't just take Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman or whoever the people are, to figure out what works for you and implement those things. And oftentimes there might be conflicting advice that are both right, right? Which is true. Like, I was listening to a book on this earlier today. A day trader is going to have different advice than somebody that's a buy and hold kind of person. But yeah, we'll take the advice of the day trader and apply it to the other idea and wonder why it's not working. I'm like, well, that's different thing, right? But we want the quick fixes and all of that. But really wrestle with those things. Ask yourself, what are the banks doing? How can I be more like the bank?
Could you tell us how? So you're a real estate investor too.
Yes, technically, yes, I am now getting into there.
Okay. Could you tell us how the infinite banking could fuel real estate businesses and real estate investing? Like it's
Yeah, this is the powerful thing that I just think when it comes to like private money lending and all of this stuff. So imagine, most of the time we need access to capital, right? When we're doing real estate, and then the banks, 2008, the banks are like, oh no, we're over leveraged. We're gonna make it smaller, right? Interest rates go up. Right now, interest rates are going up, and you want to like think again. Maybe I use the bank and the interest rates at some point, depending on what the interest rates are, and then at other times, you have access to capital, whether it's policy that we mentioned, the 401k thing, right? Um, However you can access and use it. I like this way because I'm not controlled to say I need to use it for real estate. I could use it for an emergency or for braces or something. I don't know, that comes up in life, right? And I've used my policy for maybe a tax thing that I owe. I've used it for business, an emergency when the flood happened, going on a trip to Ireland. I've used it to buy my first house, right? And some people will be like, "That's a liability. It's your, rent for whatever." I don't care, but I did 20% down, because then that meant I didn't have to pay PMI insurance, and then I paid it back because Nelson Nash, the founder of Infinite Banking, he says, "Don't steal the peace." Right. So I have an honest banking in my budget that I make sure, and I paid it back, recapitalized my bank, and I'm now doing it again to buy an office, a commercial real estate building. Then they call this the and asset. I've now used this asset. I've created an asset, and I've used it to create another asset. And technically, I'll have three assets because my staff has a home and they're going to make me money, right? And then here's another way. This is just blow your mind. Like, I will then use that money, and I know my cost of money. I can loan it out to somebody else, private money lending, things like that. Maybe it's 14% on that deal, and I know my cost, and I will net, if it's 14% positive whatever that percent is, and that's with no risk. That's crazy, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But I'm building the system, and then you become a private money lender. That's what I want to do. I want to do more note investing. I don't want to own a lot of real estate properties because I've had floods, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have more of those. Maybe, and I'm not mechanically inclined, so those are things that I'm like, I don't think that's what I want to do. So you got to know yourself and know what kind of real estate investor you want to be too.
Absolutely, and we have similar philosophies. I could probably do that stuff, but I don't have the interest in doing those things. I just recently learned about notes. I like to do digital and virtual stuff because I don't want to be visiting properties or chasing contractors. I don't like that stuff, and that was part of the reason why I stuck to and did mostly wholesale deals because I was not really interested in those other things. And there are ways you can get around that, but generally, in my experience, that stuff has been stressful dealing with other people. Paper, computers, digital systems, a little bit easier to deal with than people, more predictable, more logical.
Here's the thing: as interest rates go up, and all of that, people are going to be looking for money. Real estate is going to be around for a long time, right? Forever, right? So the thing is how do I make sure? Because even I think about this as I'm buying this property. Your interest rates on your primary residence is lower typically than when you do commercial or when you're doing all of that. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. Never thought about it.
I mean, think about it. If you're in a business and the banks are giving you money, one is they think there's a risk, but they want to take a percentage off the top. They're immediately taking a percentage off the top because you're in business. I think I'm like, well, that's a great business model. They didn't do anything, and they're getting money off of that, right? Just in that regard. So model that. There's always need an access to cash. So how can we position ourselves where we can help be the bank for other people? Maybe we don't even need them.
Okay. And I want to do an interjection. Like, you got a YouTube channel, there's plenty of information on there. Like, what if someone wanted to get in touch with you and have a consultation or utilize you for services or training or course? How could they do that?
Yeah.
YouTube.
So we, of course, our YouTube channel, we are working on rebranding our business. It's right now we have Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. If you want to have a phone call with me, go to Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, just click schedule a meeting. I love chatting all about this stuff. So Grandma's Wealth Wisdom is, where our main website is. And then we have YouTube, podcast, or call me, I'll give you my number, right? But those things are there. And then we also have a membership community where we're thinking a lot about this and we're building it out now, but it's wealthwisdom.mn.co. And it's the Wealth Wisdom community because we're talking about mindset shifts, right? A lot of times, and we do the still method in this membership community monthly because I have Amazon sellers. I have a business that is landscaping. There's all kinds of businesses, but if you can go through that and doing it as a community can really help. So that's the thing we're doing. And then we, of course, have all kinds of stuff. I do it with my wife. She's amazing.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So I want to get through some of these personal questions, and then I would like to, if we have enough time, for you to show us some of those resources that you just mentioned, like maybe the YouTube channel, maybe the website, or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
So personal questions. We actually a lot of stuff around business banking. Before we get there, though, do you have anything else that you feel would be valuable to share? I know it's a lot, but do you have anything else you think you could share that's directly relevant to the infinite banking?
I guess the main thing is there's a lot of people out there who say it is, or you want to make sure you're working with the right person that's going to be around for a long time. Whenever I work with my clients, that's a lifetime deal, right? because I'm going to meet with them every 6 months. The policy is just a place, and building the right policy. I don't use index universal life or those kind of things because I want to have this stable place there, no matter what's happening in the market or cost of insurance. I want to build that foundation. So making sure you find the right person that actually knows what they're talking about. And here's the other thing that I tell everybody. Make sure that the people that you are working with, whether it's stock or anything, ask them this question: What do you have? What are you doing? Because if you ask those questions, you will find out. Because I have multiple policies and I use them. That's more powerful than, oh yeah, I do this, but I don't have my money in there. Like that's not good, right? So even finding mentors who are in the real estate deal, um, finding those people that have done it and have the war wounds behind it too. Those are the main things I think.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So work with people that practice what they preach.
Yeah, right. You would think that would be obvious.
Yeah, it's not. We gotta, it happens. Next, so we got some personal questions. Then I want to ask you some bonus questions, and then we can, go over those sites and those resources that you have. So, personal questions. Number one, if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
One thing besides being a great parent, for outside in the world, I want people to know, and I have a tattoo on my arm, and it says, "In humility, consider others better than yourself." I want people to know, like, I'm not in the business of sales. I do make commissions off of this stuff. I'm in the business of helping people change their lives. I want people to say, that guy changed my life and my wife, because of building that foundation. And that's the main thing I want. Knowing I do life insurance, I have no idea the impact that it's going to have, but it's going to have reverberations throughout at least short-term history, right? I know what the kids will do with the money, but that's, at least I'll help somebody, right?
Awesome. Thank you. The next question I have for you is, tell us about like a favorite job or career path you've had in the past.
Favorite job?
Yeah, or
I mean,
career
besides
path.
having a coffee shop, that was awesome, and I will never do that ever again. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a ton from it. I was also in the Marine Corps, and I was also in the music industry. So I've worked with all kinds of people. I've seen everything that you can imagine, and I'm not that old, but I've seen a lot. And I'm not in the music industry for a lot of big reasons, mainly because it blackens your soul. But anyway, if you're in the music industry, more power to you. But oh my gosh, I've seen things that
I can only imagine. Next,
can't.
we got one more personal question. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah, this is a question I've thought about a lot, because I mean, some of the things I've made mistakes, right? Everybody has. But then by doing those mistakes, it's made me where I'm at today, right? I was in the Marine Corps and I did not get out honorably. But I learned a lot. And then in the music and all of that. So mainly I would think at telling him, and this would be like, the dad thing, understand your money, right? And I wouldn't listen probably because I'm an 18-year-old, but understand how money flows, learn that system, and learn about infinite banking right now. Buy a policy.
Okay.
That would have changed a lot of things.
Okay. And I kind of want to ask you, like, where would I start to start learning about how money works?
I mean, of course, our YouTube channel.
Okay.
We have a video of weapons of math destruction. Read the book The Creatures of Jekyll Island. It's all about the creation of the Federal Reserve, and it is a really thick book. But like being a student of history, because even I'm listening to a book right now, The Psychology of Money, and I was just finished this chapter at the end, and he said where we're at now started just after World War II, when all the people were coming back, and we didn't have jobs or any of that, so we had to figure it out. So hence capitalism started buying stuff, right? In the 50s. Anyway, so being a student of history too is like understanding the money system, which is a lot. And also knowing that you don't have to know everything.
Okay. Thank you. The next question, what is the biggest challenge you are currently facing in your business?
Oh, it's probably everybody's is time, right? And also it's, with this big business world, building exposure, right? And I feel like you've been doing podcasting for a while, right? But now everybody has a podcast. And I'm like, all right, everybody's crowding it out. And how do you be a loud voice in a world where everybody's talking? Right. And that's so hard to do that, especially when we're all talking over each other and all of that. But how do we be a voice of change? Yes. And that's so hard because that's marketing, right?
It is, and my gears start turning. The answer is marketing, and one of the things, like, I love digital, but it's like what you have to do is you just have to pretty much go the opposite way of everyone else.
Yep.
So one of the things that we do is and you're on your way to doing this. If everyone's doing digital or like, you continue with your stuff, but you hit them in other ways. So one of the things that we do is we do direct mail marketing, and we use books to market to people. So you got a book on the way, and you include these resources and the things in the books, and that will open up for you. So I think you're on a path already.
Oh yeah, I mean we have a book in the works that'll probably, once she gets the CFP, it's going to be written, and it's all of it. And I have a friend of mine, if you ever in the marketing world, Perry Marshall, that talks about a lot of this stuff. They started, Dane Kennedy and those. Being a learner of marketing is huge, and especially in this world of all of this, but also learning that you can't be everything. Like, I had a marketing agency saying, what you need to do? You need to do TikTok. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, I didn't do very well, and I'm not a TikTok star. And just learning what is my unique strengths, and some of it is, hey, I want to work with people who want to work with me and educate themselves. Right. So a book is going to be amazing because it's an educational tool that helps me train them so they can make better decisions on them, and it'll just be a resource for them.
Exactly.
But most people just want a quick solution, get on TikTok, do this and do whatever. But it's a mix. And this is part of even marketing. It's paper, pattern interrupts with the community. Maybe a community is not working as much anymore because everybody's doing, how best we can not touch that, crack that nut, and it'll change. The nut changes every 5 seconds.
Yep, absolutely. And so I'm like a speaker too, and they asked me, they're like, hey, can you come do some speaking, because I teach like social media digital strategies, and they're like, we want you to do TikTok. And I'm like, I don't do TikTok, so I'm not speaking about TikTok. I'll show up and I'll turn it into something that I can talk about, because it's just short form video, but I'm not doing TikTok. I don't touch TikTok because I have my platforms, right?
Yeah.
I do what I do. And one more thing I wanted to say is, like, I think you're already on the right platform, which is YouTube, because it's a search engine. It's not it's one of the better
Yeah.
platforms to be on, because people are there searching for things specifically, like how can I make more money or how can I start infinite banking. They're looking for those actual terms. So that's like a great platform that you're already on, and just
I
keep.
think one of the hardest parts, and this is where, as people listen to this, and as I don't want to create clickbait or like
Mhm.
fear, right? I think we have enough of that, but then at some point there is, like again, Perry Marshall says, there's bleeding neck. You want to have enough of that to tell people, hey, you really need to get this figured out, otherwise you're going to die. But then I don't want to be the world is falling apart, and I think that's the biggest challenge of sometimes. I don't know. You've probably heard those terms before, but it is just crazy hard, and the psychology behind all of it.
Yeah,
It's
I
money.
I I am a so you mentioned Kennedy. I'm a student of Kennedy, and I don't know if you like on the internet, like they just released a ClickFunnels ad, like they featured me in their ad. Like, they didn't even tell me, they like just feature me. So I understand a lot of what you're saying. Like when you mentioned Kennedy, I attribute a lot of my success, my most recent marketing success, to him, their strategies and stuff like that. So just like I think like maybe last week somebody sent me a video like, hey, you're on the marketing ad. I was like, really? They didn't even tell me. I've sent the video, but it was a cool thing. So
Nice.
they're the reason why I was able to publish all of those books and start to get some of that stuff going. So I'll probably like send you an email so you can see it a little
Oh, for
bit
sure.
later. But yeah, it's cool. The next question I have for you: how can someone add immediate value to your business?
Shoot. Well, one is, of course, I guess if they go through the process of an analysis,
Okay.
that's of course going to help them and me, because in the end, we are setting people up with the policies, right? And I get paid by that, right? That's not what I go into whenever I have those conversations. I'll see and see if it works for them. I'm not going to just say that it works for them. And then the other is, of course, subscribe to our channels and share the content, because that's the hardest part in the social media marketing world is, you know, everybody. I've heard so many people say, "I love that video." I'm like, well, hit the like and share it. I don't know,
Yes.
something.
Like,
Um,
subscribe, comment.
yeah. It's the same thing of when we had the coffee shop, people were like, "I love that coffee shop. I love what you're doing." I'm like, well, you know what you need? You could come buy a cup of coffee. That'll help. That's what pays the bills. Oh yeah, but I was too busy. I'm like, well, that doesn't help me. Um, anyway, those things.
Okay, so
It's
then I
obvious,
want.
right? Isn't it obvious?
So I'm looking forward to your book. I want to know like when that's coming.
Well, my wife is taking her CFP exam in
What's a
November.
CFP?
Certified Financial Planner,
Okay.
right? So the reason she's doing that is because it does say a lot,
Okay.
even though I don't agree with a lot of it. Even in the CFP board, they say you just need this for the test, and then actually you'll get in the real world. But it's just accolades to say you can do what you do, and then once she has that, we're in the process of it's all written here, and it's in our we've written over 100 podcast episodes, right? It's all written in transcript form. It just needs to be dialed in. So that'll come probably, she's taking the test in November. I bet you Q1 of next year.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. I would like to. That's one of the ways I like to immediately get value for myself as well as give value to like other business owners if they have a product or a service, especially books. Like I got a bunch of books a while ago. I had so many books I had to donate them, but I'm collecting my books again. So I'm really looking forward to that book. Of course, I want it signed by you and your wife since I know you. So looking
Oh
forward.
yeah. I mean, there's more than one book that's in us.
Okay.
And after we have this, again, I think in starting a business, the first 4 years is like a baby, and you're like, you know, cleaning their butts and doing all kinds of things that you're like, all right, and we have to look at our business in that same model. And this business is 4 years old, so it's starting to build, and almost there's that thinking time that we have back to build, and a lot of people think they're 17-year-olds when they're actually -1 or 2, right? You know, anyway.
Awesome. Thank you. So next question, how can someone add long-term value to your business or your life?
I think it's the relational aspects, right? The friendships, being in business, doing the real estate deals, all of that is, as you build a community in general, it's sometimes hard, right? To have those people around you, the what do they say, the five people you spend the most time with, like more and more of those people. I want to level up in that way and just serve more people, because I don't want a world of poverty, right? I don't want a world of I'm from Chicago, right? South side of Chicago is where it's just a different dynamic than the north side. I think it's totally designed that way. It was by design, and I'm like, well, that isn't okay with me. So I want more people that believe that way, so we can make a difference here.
Thank you. And so you already we're ready for the closing table. We're in real estate. Oh my God, the closing table! Yay! So that's why we call it the closing table. And you already mentioned a few books, but the question is, what are 3 books that you recommend to the audience, and why would you recommend those books?
Yeah. So the Bank on Yourself book, that's by Pamela Yellen. That's what I do. It's a bit salesy in her book writing. It's about life insurance and what I do. That's why we're redesigning it for our ICA, or not redesigning it, but writing a us book. The Profit First for real estate investors, if you're a real estate investor, Profit First in general for just general business. There's another one that I like, is The And Asset. There's several books. I'm always reading books. So,
Okay.
and those are 3. Bank on Yourself by Pamela Yellen. Mike Michalowicz, Profit First. David Richter wrote Profit First for real estate investors. And what was the other one that I just said? Oh, The And Asset.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So, like you, I so many books. I had someone like interview me, and I had to write out all of the books and authors, and I was like, man, there's so many books here, and even now that list grows. So I completely understand. The next the next question I have is like, where can listeners find out more about you online? And since we talked about like doing a demo a little bit earlier, could you show us some of those resources, the YouTube channel, stuff like that?
Yeah. So of course, let me see if I can click this share screen. So can you see my screen here?
Yes, time-tested financial strategies for today.
Yeah. So this is our first baby. It was Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. It's still going to be active. You can go here to request a meeting. We have our YouTube channel on the website. Of course, we have all kinds of stuff here. The podcast, we just released a podcast today. What is our adaptability, accessibility, and financial freedom? So that was our video of today that just came out. We do every 2 weeks. And then, of course, you can, this is website stuff, right? And then this is our channel, Wealth Wisdom channel with the Neelys, financial channel. So look that up. We have the Profit First system. This is David Richter from Profit First for real estate investors. This is Mike Michalowicz, who wrote Profit First. We have a frequently asked questions, right? We have all of those here. Our podcast, of course. I'm doing lots of interviews of people. There's YNAB budgeting. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. But there's a lot to it. And I have 1.4 million people. Not million. 1,430,000. And I'm live here. Look at that. And yeah, you can go through here. There's all kinds of stuff. And then if you go to, let me pull this one up. This is our community. So in the Wealth Wisdom community, there is, it's $10 a month, but really what we're doing is creating a system, kind of like, you have a subscription, right, to Apple and all the other stuff, but what are the things that are going to help you build your foundation and wealth? And so we've been creating this. We have the still session that's live every month, and a lot of other events and interests here. So if you go here, we're going to have a course here. So we're going to create Profit First, the events and the topics. But we talk about motivation, because let's face it, if you're a business owner, sometimes it can be boring and sad, and you need some motivation. So we do Monday motivation. My wife is very motivational. Savings, taxes. This is funny. Notice the still method, set your sights, track, savings, taxes, investing, liabilities, and lifestyle is the still method.
Okay.
Same, that's the foundation kind of things, but how you even do your money is through that. So we do all that stuff through that. So that's our community. So wealthwisdom.mn.co. You should totally join it, of course. And we're building that out. It's going to be amazing and growing. And what else would you like to see? Of course, the channel and podcast and everything.
Whatever else you have, I'm more than happy. I understand value. So
yeah, let me see. Then a playbook. If you go, let's see here. Well, there's the playbook. I even forgot where it's at. Oh yeah, here we go. If you go to stillmethod.com, this is where you can download the playbook. And that's going to be, it's almost the, for a book, it's the table of contents almost. So it's all of this. Download this playbook. It asks a lot of questions here. Talks a little bit about us, of course, because we are awesome. This is my amazing wife, Amanda, and some, of course, testimonials and all that stuff. So these are members of the community and have done this. So stillmethod.com is pretty awesome. I think everybody should be doing it. If we actually did this, imagine being out of chaos.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be so amazing?
Yeah, that is a major factor. As I talked about earlier, people come in with chaos, and they need to go, like you said, still, there needs to be an acronym. Like, we got to slow down and observe, work backwards. Some of the stuff like you said. So 100%.
So yeah, the still method is amazing. And most businesses fail, and it's not usually because of desire. It's usually cash flow, and they ran out of money, right? We don't want that. So how do we make sure we are in a good place?
Okay.
So awesome. So that's it. That's me and my wife. She designs all this in our team of 4, but we are growing fast. So.
Okay. Thank you for sharing those resources. That was our final question. Do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Yeah. My biggest things for every business owner and entrepreneur, I always tell people these 3 things. One is know that you're called to something like that, right? Whatever that business is, know that because it'll get hard. Have a team around you, right? Whether it's a marketing team, but also a team that just cares about you, right? That's so important. Like, just they don't care about the results. they care about you as a person, and then know your numbers. Those three things are key to, I think, I don't know, a good life anyway.
Absolutely. Brandon, this has been excellent. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. We have to reconnect, and maybe I'll
Sure.
be a guest on your podcast. Maybe we'll do like a separate episode, something like that. But this was fun. I appreciate you so much, and we're going to end it. Thank you.
Awesome.
All
Awesome.
right.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.